Hello again and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is for a corner to corner blanket using the Aldi So Crafty yarn. It's classed as a chunky yarn, and on the ball band it recommends a size 8mm hook, but I'm actually using a 9mm for this design. We're going to start with a chain, so we're going to slip knot onto the hook, and then we start with 5 chain. So we've got 1, yarn over, pull through, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We're now going to count back, and we're going to work a double crochet into the 3rd chain, which is this one here. So to do a double crochet, it's yarn over into the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 once, yarn over through 2 twice. We're going to do the same again into the next 2 chains, so we're working another 2 double crochets. So yarn over into the chain, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 once, yarn over through 2 twice. We're now left with the last chain. We're going to work a double into that final chain there. So yarn over, pick up the loop, oops, a little bit tight that last one, pick up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, and we can pull that tight. So there's the first block of the corner to corner. We're now going to flip over. We're going to work 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and again we're going to work 3 double crochets into the first 3 of those chains. The last 2 are going to count as the first stitch. So yarn over, we've got 1, 2, there's the 3rd one. We're going to do a double into that stitch, into the chain, and another 2 doubles, 1 into each of the remaining chain, and a 3rd one into that last chain. So we've in effect got 4 stitches altogether, because we've got the 2 chain start plus 3 doubles. We're now going to join into the space that was made from the first chain stitches here on this first block. So if you've got your work this way, you just need to flip it over so that we're looking at the wrong side here, and into this chain loop here we're going to slip stitch the 2 blocks together. So pick up the loop and pull it through the loop on your hook. We're now going to 2 chain. That's going to count as the first stitch on the next block. So into this same loop here, the chain space, we're going to work 3 doubles. Yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over, pick up your loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over into that same loop, yarn over through 2, and yarn over through 2. So we've now got the first 2 rows completed. Going to flip over, and again we're going to start each row with exactly the same 5 chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then we're going to work a double into the first 3 stitches, working backwards from the hook. So we've got 2 chains here. We're going to work into the third one to create a double, and then a double into each of the next 2 chains. There's 1, and 2. We're going to now slip stitch into this chain space here on this block. So as you look at your work, we've flipped over again. We're going to go into this chain space here with a slip stitch to join. And then as always, the first stitch is going to be 2 chain, and we're going to work 3 doubles into this same 2 chain loop. So we've got 1, 2 and 3. Again, we're going to join into the final chain space here with a slip stitch, and we're going to work 2 chain and 3 doubles all into this one chain space here. So there's 1, 2 and 3. So we're going to flip over again and start again exactly the same with 5 chain, 3, 4 and 5, and then we're going to work a double into the 3rd chain from the hook, the 4th and the 5th. So there we've got 1, 2 and 3. We're now going to join into the chain space here from this previous row with a slip stitch, chain 2. We're going to work the same all the way along the row, which is the 2 chains and 3 doubles. Join with a slip stitch into the chain space, work 2 chain and 3 doubles. Working on the 9mm hook just means that you've got a less tight blanket, because it's quite a thick yarn to work with. It's got like a chenille feel to it, and if you do the stitching a little bit tight, it does make the blanket rather a heavy one. So we're slipping into that last chain space here, work 2 chain and 3 doubles. If you want to work with more than one colour, you can change colours either every 2 rows or every 4 if you want blocks of colour, and you'll carry on exactly the same way, starting each row with a chain 5, working 2 3 doubles into the first, the second and the third chain, and then slip stitch to the next chain space as you'll have your work. You're turning your work after each row. So once you've got to the size of the blanket that you want it to be width-wise, you will then start to decrease. So on the decrease rows, just imagine that this is the size that we want the blanket to be. Instead of starting the row with the 5 chain, we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. We're going to slip stitch again into that chain space. So we've sort of squared off the blanket, and then you will just start with the 2 chain, I will keep saying 3 chain, and 3 doubles into that chain space. 1, 2, and 3. Again, straight over to slip stitch into the next 2 chain space, and again we start with 2 chain and then work the 3 doubles into that same chain space. 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch into the next 2 chain space, work 2 chain and the 3 doubles. Just pull a little bit more yarn out there. And a third. Oops. Slip stitch into the last 2 chain space on this side, and instead of working the next block, we're now going to flip over, and again we're going to do exactly the same as we did on this side here. To decrease, we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch, slip stitch into the second, and then into the 2 chain space, and that will give you the decrease on this side. So we're going to decrease on both sides now until we get a square. So again, to start the next row along here, we're going to chain 2 and the 3 doubles into the same chain space. 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch along to the next 2 chain space and work 2 chain, followed by the 3 doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Slip stitch into the last 2 chain space on this side with a slip stitch, and again flip over. We're going to slip stitch into the first, slip stitch into the second stitch, and then slip stitch into the 2 chain space. That's going to bring us to the last stitch, which again is just 2 chain and the 3 doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Oops, I found a knot in the yarn there. And then the very last stitch to finish off is just a slip stitch into that last 2 chain space, and then you can fasten off and you've got your square. So it's just a simple repeat of when you're working the increase. You'll start off with the 5 chain, work 3 doubles into the first 3 of the 5 chain and then slip stitch to the 2 chain space. On the decrease, we're just going to slip stitch along 2 stitches into the 2 chain space and then carry on working until you've decreased on both sides. So there we have the chunky chenille corner to corner worked on the 9mm hook. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel and I hope to see you again really soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.